Chapter 19. The Final Piece. I can't believe you're alive. Lin Lai's eyelids flutter. A filament of sunlight sneaks through the curtains and lands on her face. I can't believe I saved you. Do you mean you can't believe you were able to save me? Lin asks weakly. Or that you could make yourself save someone like me? Both, I guess, Sophia replies. As she gazes down on the resting woman, she subconsciously covers her scarred wrist with her right hand. Letting you die would have been the easy thing to do, but my dad always told me the easy thing isn't usually the right thing. So, here we are. Lin scoffs and turns away so she doesn't have to look at the girl. If you knew what was good for you, you would have let me die, she whispers. Yeah, I know, but I wasn't thinking about what was good for me. I was thinking about what was good. Lin chuckles derisively. Even after being rescued by Sophia, her voice is edged with spite. Have you been rehearsing that line? Sitting there while I was asleep, thinking of all the things you might say to change me, to make me noble and virtuous and good, like yourself? Sophia frowns. She sits on the sofa's arm and says, No, mostly I was spending my time saving your life. That dampens Lin's spite. She glances around the dingy room and takes a deep breath of the clammy air. Did you fight them here, too? She asks. Sophia shakes her head. Nope, they never came. Redbeard? She hangs her head and shakes it again, slowly. He didn't come either. After an uncomfortable pause, Lin asks, How did you get the arrow out? It wasn't too hard. When I was cutting off your shirt, I noticed a weird bulge in your chest, Sophia explains. I figured it had to be the arrowhead. So I shoved it the rest of the way through, snapped it off, then pulled the rest out through your back. Easy as pie. Is there infection? Lin asks the question timidly, afraid to hear the answer. An infection here would likely mean death. Sophia answers, You also got lucky with that. I found a whole bunch of antibiotics in the upstairs bathroom. I don't know if the owners were stashing them or what, but if you keep taking them, you shouldn't get an infection. Any damage to internal organs? Lin asks. Don't know, Sophia mutters. Sorry, I'm not a doctor. Can't be anything too severe, otherwise I don't think you'd be talking to me right now. But I wouldn't be surprised if you end up with some problems down the road. You know, that was very clever of you, Lin says, flashing Sophia the tiniest of grins. What was? Hiding your pistol. I make a point never to underestimate an enemy, but clearly I made that mistake with you. I'm sorry you weren't able to use it the way you had planned. Sophia plays dumb. What do you mean? To escape from me. You were waiting for the right moment to use it, when you could escape me for good. I still might, you know. Yet, even now, you don't. Why? I already told you why. Because helping someone when they're hurt is the right thing to do, even a bad someone, like you. Then why didn't you use it when I took you from Etere? I wasn't hurt then. Sophia gulps and stumbles for words. Because I didn't know if I could grab it and fire it in time. You had the knife and you were also driving, so if we crashed... That, interrupts Lin, is complete nonsense. My attention was fully on the road, and we weren't driving fast. If you had shot me then, you would have wound up in a ditch with nothing worse than a headache. Sophia glares at her. She tries to summon the old defiance, but she feels Lin tearing down her walls like some psychological wrecking ball. You did not use it, Lin declares, because you will not kill unless you are given no other choice. And eventually, in this world, that kind of goodness will be the death of you." A long pause follows. There is nothing more to say. Outside, a bank of gray clouds swallows up the sun. The shadows in the room darken. Lin, with much wincing and gritting of teeth, pushes herself into a fully seated position. "I'm not sure you should," Sophia begins, but Lin cuts her off with a dismissive wave. "My wound is what it is," she says. "It has cost me too much time already. Is there anything to eat here?" "Not really. There was an unopened bag of chips in the pantry, and a jar of pickles, but I already ate them." "How long was I unconscious?" Lin asks. "About a day, little more." The self-named Empress of Time stands so abruptly, she almost falls over again. Sophia grabs her arm to steady her. "Wasted more time than I thought," mutters Lin, irritated. "Get your things. I don't have any things. And let's go. Have you been outside? Is there a car?" she asks, crouching to grab her backpack from the ground. "There's a truck parked behind the house," Sophia answers. "And I already found the keys." "Then come," Lin orders sternly. She doesn't sound like a woman whose life Sophia saved. "We must continue." "Seriously?" Sophia replies. She can't believe what she's hearing. "4 of your people, maybe 5, were just taken prisoner. Shouldn't you be going after them? Not some relic?" In a small, distant voice, Lin says, "There must be sacrifices upon the path." "Sacrifices?" says Sophia. "What path?" "Never mind," retorts Lin. "It doesn't matter. They knew the danger they were putting themselves in by joining me. I would be dishonoring them if I didn't press on. Besides, we have no idea where they were taken or if they are still alive. I will not waste precious time searching for people who may never be found. Now, you may either come with me or rot here along with this farmhouse. Decide quickly." Sophia fumes silently. Lin's near-death experience hasn't changed her at all. She's the same demanding, power-hungry villain she was yesterday. But at present, Sophia doesn't have many options for companionship, so she sighs in defeat and says, "I guess I can't let you go alone. Plus, I need the relic just as much as you." "That's the spirit," replies Lin. Then she adds, "But if you cross me and try taking the relic for yourself, it will be the last thing you ever do, gun or not. Do you understand?" Although Sophia doesn't know if Lin can back up the threat, she nods and pulls the truck keys from her pocket. Behind the house, they find a teal pickup that appears to be half Ford, half rust. "Can you drive?" asks Lin. "Of course." The engine roars to life at once. Sophia notices there isn't much fuel left in the tank, but she supposes it will be enough to bring them to the next town. She shifts the stick into gear, and the party of 2 rolls around the house and along the gravel drive. When they meet up with the main road, both peer back in the direction they came yesterday. The 2 wrecked vehicles remain right where they left them. There is no sign of anyone near them, either living or dead. "Drive us to our car," says Lin. "I want to see if they left anything." Sophia does as told. She remains inside the truck while Lin examines the ruined vehicle. Lin groans when she looks in the trunk. The raiders have pried it open and stripped it clean of anything useful. Her bow and quiver of arrows are gone. She expected as much. Still, all is not lost. Yes, the bow is her favorite weapon, but her father also made certain she was well trained in many forms of hand-to-hand combat. Her knives will be plenty deadly for anyone foolish enough to stand in her way. "There is nothing here," says Lin, returning to the pickup truck. "Let's go." "What about the other car? And your people? Are you sure?" Lin cuts her off. "No looking back. There is only forward. Turn us around." Sophia sighs with disappointment, but obeys. She should know by now that Lin won't budge. But before they pass the farmhouse, Lin shouts, "Stop! Stop the truck!" Sophia slams on the brakes, certain they are under attack again. Glancing around, she sees only empty land and lonesome road. Lin raises a finger, pointing across the heath to a handful of low mounds. They are bodies. 7, maybe 8 of them. None are moving. Sophia lets the truck idle, and both climb out. They cross the spongy turf, picking their way carefully across the uneven terrain. As they approach, Sophia spots Redbeard's body lying among the rest. How did he manage to kill so many? Sophia wonders aloud. Redbeard was a highly skilled soldier, Lin answers. I know he may not have seemed the type, but he spent his entire adult life in a British Special Forces unit. Sophia stays put while Lin picks her way through the bodies. She kneels at Redbeard's side and whispers something, but her murmurs are unintelligible to Sophia's ears. As she speaks, Lin strokes his face lightly with her fingers. As if Redbeard's body has shot an electric current through her, she jumps to her feet. "Sophia, come quickly," she yells. Dodging the other corpses, Sophia hops and skips to Redbeard. She looks down at him. His clothes are ripped and tattered. Bloodstains, the roses of battle, have blossomed over much of his body. Sophia feels nauseous. What sick reason did Lin have in wanting her to witness the carnage up close? Then she sees it. Redbeard isn't entirely still and silent, as the dead are. There is a faint hiss coming from his lips, and his chest rises and falls. He's alive, but barely by the looks of him. "Help me lift him," Lin commands. Though she herself is wounded and weak, she drops to her knees and wraps his arm around her shoulders. Seeing Sophia's hesitation, she yells, "Now!" Trying her best to ignore the warm, sticky blood, Sophia positions herself beneath Redbeard's other arm. Straining, grunting, and sweating, they hoist his mostly dead weight off the springy tundra. They struggle mightily, and once even drop the injured man. But after 10 exhausting minutes, they've successfully hauled Redbeard to the truck. In another 5, he's lying across the back seat with his knees bent into the air. "What now?" Sophia asks, wheezing to catch her breath in the damp Icelandic air. "Do you have emergency equipment on the boat?" "Some, but not much," Lin replies. For a long moment, she stares at her unconscious lackey. "We will stick to the plan and continue to the Westfjords. We will find supplies along the way to bandage his wounds." "What?" cries Sophia. She can't believe Lin's insistence that they push forward with the plan. "Are you that crazy? He's gonna die if we don't get him real help." "And where do you plan on finding that help?" Lin snarls. "Stoker was our only medic, and not a very skilled one at that. Cook and Columbia aren't doctors. I'm not a doctor. And unless you were lying earlier, neither are you." The girl glares back silently. "No? Okay, then we will do the best we can with what we find on the road. So you start driving, and I'll give him some of my antibiotics. If those wounds aren't infected already, they will be soon." For once, Sophia has neither a logical nor moral response. She knows Redbeard would stand no better chance on the boat. Still, it feels wrong, plowing ahead like this, going for the relic while a man's life hangs in the balance. With no real options, Sophia drives northwest. Fearful of another attack, she keeps a cautious eye on their surroundings. They pass through a few tiny hamlets, but none looks like the kind of place they might find the medical supplies needed to help Redbeard. An hour later, they approach a crossroads with one lonely building. In front of it is a handmade sign written in English: "Petrol, grocery, camping gear." Sophia pulls into the parking lot. "What are you doing?" demands Lin, offended that Sophia would dare try anything without first being told. They have camping gear here, Sophia answers calmly. And camping gear means first aid supplies. Trust me. Plus, they'll probably have things for tourists. Guidebooks, maps, stuff like that. Things that might help us find the relic. And we're almost out of gas. We need a different car. Enough reasons for you? This time it is Lin who has no response. They leave Redbeard in the truck. Inside the store, Lin makes for the camping supplies, while Sophia searches behind the checkout desk. As she hoped, it doesn't take long to find a set of keys. One of them, she is certain, will fit the ignition in the Suzuki Jimny, a compact sporting vehicle she noticed parked alongside the building. With one task finished, she starts toward Lin on the other side of the store. A rack of tourist pamphlets grabs her attention along the way, and she stops. Her eyes flit across them. Most advertise some kind of outdoor adventure company. Climb a glacier with ice tours. Explore the rainbow colors of the Lederendi lava cave. Sophia wonders how anyone could pronounce half the names she sees. Visit the Björnkarker lighthouse at the Latrebjerg bird cliffs. Her eyes pass to the next pamphlet, and suddenly dart back. Something about the white lighthouse on the pamphlet's cover has jump-started an odd feeling inside her. She picks it up for a closer look. Near the bottom, a smaller, second picture displays a puffin at rest from its flight. The black and white seabird is perched atop a high cliff, staring out at the sea over its multicolored beak. When Sophia opens the pamphlet to read more, her heart leaps into her throat. "Lin," she cries, waving the pamphlet. "I think I found something. Do you have that poem, the one from the North Cape?" Lin looks at her, puzzled over the girl's sudden excitement. Nevertheless, she recites from memory. "Unmoving I am, yet moved on have I, the relic with me, where the cliff dwellers fly. Gone back to the house that lights my heart best, the most extreme point twixt the north and the west." "Yes," Sophia exclaims, cutting off the rest of the poem. "It's right here, at the lighthouse by the bird cliffs." Lin snatches the pamphlet, and her eyes widen. Aloud she reads, "Located in the Westfjords, this westernmost point of Iceland, and Europe, is home to the 100-year-old Björnkarker lighthouse and the majestic Latrebjerg bird cliffs. This must be it." For a moment, Lin looks less like a ruthless megalomaniac, and more like a giddy, middle school girl asked to the homecoming dance by the popular boy. Reassuming her stony demeanor, Lin says, "Well done, Sophia. You have found the final piece of the puzzle. The only thing left to do is claim the relic as my own." The fires of greed and desire have rekindled in her dark eyes. Without another word, Lin exits the store. As Sophia watches her go, she wonders if she should have kept her mouth shut.